I think it's brilliant what they're doing in Miami. Is it just simply the Messi effect with like, I'll give up my firstborn to go live in Miami and play with Messi?
It's a good question. It's a fair question, right? This is a club that has had sanctions for cheating in the past.
I'm also wondering if there's another side to this where, and I'm calling it like the Messi mafia, where he basically goes, sit down, pour my mate. How much does the club offer you? Here's a pen, sign the contract.
Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, presented by Volkswagen. Volkswagen has long been a supporter of soccer in America and has proudly been a partner of U.S. Soccer for over 5 years.
Welcome to Unfiltered Soccer, presented by Volkswagen. He's Landon. I'm Tim. LD, I'm bunkered in, bro. It's snowing. No time to get to the studio. Just at home. It's wild. I know you don't get any snow.
Oh, I realize that's why you're not in the studio. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to leave when it snows?
I don't want to leave. I did that yesterday. I'm staying in.
I'm bunkered in too. My wife is currently in Vegas with my son and his 2 friends for their birthday. We're all going. I'm flying this morning up to San Jose to go to this place called Crunch Labs with this guy named Mark Rober. If you haven't seen this guy, like, these people are crazy, dude. They live in this universe where he gets like hundreds of millions of views on videos. I'd never heard of him, but every 10-year-old kid who's into engineering and science and all that loves this guy. Anyway, he was kind enough to invite us all up. So we're going up there, but I'm bunkered in because I have my 2 youngers. One of them was throwing up all night. Anyways, so we'll stop complaining and get to the good stuff. Follow us on social media at Unfiltered Soccer. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to the show on YouTube, and make sure you follow on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you love what we're doing, please leave a review. We got a big summer coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. As always, you can email Jordan feedback@unfilteredsoccer.com to get your questions on the show. All right, Timmy, what do we got today?
Got a guest. We got one of our favorite guests.
Yes,
he is
sir.
a writer for the Athletic MLS Insider and all around good guy, but big friend of the show. We love
Our
him.
returning champion.
That's right. Tom Bogert, welcome in. We've got lots of things to pepper you with about MLS, man. It's coming up hot and heavy. How are you?
What's going on, guys? I'm good. I am down the Jersey Shore. I am also bunkered in. We shoveled 4 times yesterday. Tim, it's good. Landon, it's good to hear the parenting stories. My wife is expecting our first kid.
Oh, yeah.
Soon. So I'll keep some of those tips in the back pocket.
My
for how to
condolences.
react to cereal complaints, and we'll get going from there.
I love your Jersey Shore connection. It's amazing.
Tom, do you go by Bogey, by the way? Do people call you Bogey?
Yeah.
I was calling
my
you Bogey
dad
this
had
morning.
that nickname more than me, but
Okay.
yeah, that definitely stuck in the athletic arenas.
All right, we're going to call you Bogey. Okay, let's dive in. So this TFC stuff with Josh Sargent in Norwich City. What's the latest? Why only Toronto? It seems like there's a lot of places that he could potentially go. Maybe St. Louis now. I know they're from there, and with João Klaus leaving, and we'll get to that. Why Toronto? Will it happen? What's the latest?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. So Toronto FC and Norwich have been negotiating over Josh Sargent since the beginning of December. Josh Sargent wants this move. He wants to return to North America for family reasons. Him and his family just welcomed their 3rd kid. And this is why he didn't go to Germany when there was a bid accepted for Wolfsburg. If he was going to leave Norwich, he wanted to come back to MLS, to North America. Toronto FC is what he has his heart set on. There's reports of interest from Nottingham Forest or some other places. Like, it's immaterial because he has made it clear to Norwich City. He's made it clear to other clubs, I only want to go to Toronto. And a quick sidebar, you brought up St. Louis. Yeah, maybe, but this is all hypothetical. This is not a team that spends the kind of money that it would require to either sign him both for a transfer fee or the salary, I'm assuming. The club does not spend that much money at the moment. Toronto FC is the team that Josh Sargent wants to go to. It is very fluid. There's a lot that we're going to get into. I'm assuming that it will happen eventually. Things are very tense, but it's starting to thaw a little bit.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it's like Timmy talks about this all the time, and how do you get a move, and what way do you get it, and how can you make it happen? And it seems like at this point, they're doing fine without him now. Everyone needs to just move on and copacetically just get a deal done. So, yeah.
So just to follow up to that, what's the temperature then like? Obviously, things are thawing, but he's one of their highest earners, probably one of their best players. So they can they be seen to like not play him or keep him in the reserves, which I know he's in the reserves at the moment until the end of the season, or what? Because surely if they're not going to play him, they got to get some money for him.
Yeah, so their stance is obviously Norwich are digging their heels in the same way Josh Sargent is. The $18 million bid from Toronto FC, that open negotiations, Norwich are pretty much saying that's not enough. they've used the tack to go publicly and said, no, he's not for sale. He's not for sale. And then kind of in the same quote will be like, well, definitely not for this price. So
Yeah.
I think that kind of lets you know where the status is. And Toronto's leverage is, one, he only wants to come to us. And two, there's a relegation release clause in his contract that he would either be, if not free transfer, very, very discounted from even the 18 million. I understand Norwich's position. They just had a bid accepted in the summer for 28 million, why they might want more. But Tim, to your point as well, I think Norwich are prepared to say, like, fine, you can just stay in the U21s for the rest of the year and we'll pay you to not play. But again, I really just think that all parties will cool off a little bit. And if Toronto raises the bid, again, I know that talks are ongoing. Again, even when the club are saying he's not for sale, talks are very much ongoing between Toronto and Norwich. So I think that just logic should win out here, but doesn't always happen.
Let's hope so. What's going on with what happened with the Tristan Blackmon stuff? This was fascinating to me because it got announced that the deal was done, and then you quickly jumped on it and said, no, the deal's not done. And now the deal clearly was not done. So what happened there? And then is there still interest? Can that still happen? Will it still happen? Is it dead now? Where's that at?
So Inter Miami submitted a bid to the Vancouver Whitecaps it ended up being around $3 million, which would be a league record for a center back moving within the league for the reigning MLS Defender of the Year. I'm told the first bid came in during the playoffs. Like, this is something that Miami was interested in. Like, it wasn't after the final. It was as they were planning for 2026. Vancouver don't want to sell him. They've been public about that as well, saying we're not negotiating. And they're, by the way, being very, very clear to say Inter Miami are not doing anything underhanded. They're being completely respectful. They're allowed to bid for players, and we're allowed to just not negotiate if we don't want to sell them. So they were kind of clear on that. Tristan Blackmon, winning Defender of the Year. I believe he was like the 39th highest paid or 20. He was not one of the highest paid defenders in the league. And when you win Defender of the Year, obviously you're asking for a new contract. Yep. Those contract talks have not gone super well. And Tristan Blackmon got to the point where he said, okay, like, I'm supposed to show up for preseason. I'm not going to until I get a new contract. His holdout lasted one day, which probably doesn't help in terms of leverage for the contract talks continuing, but Vancouver Whitecaps are insistent he is not leaving. They are not negotiating. He will be here on opening day, and let's see if they get a new contract done, but he's under contract for another couple years.
As people who have been in and around this league for a long time, I think this is sort of the next apron for the league, and I really like it.
Yeah,
Players,
I agree.
the best player, what MLS used to be, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, Tom, is MLS used to be, oh, you have a really good player? Well, he's your player. We're not paying for him. We'll go find someone else. Well, no, Tristan Blackmon is a really good defender. So guess what? Go pay market global value for him and keep everything in the league circulating. So I personally like where this is going. Yeah.
But you can't, by the way, if you're Vancouver, you can't say, no, we're not letting you go and we're not paying you. Right. Like, at some point you got to say, okay. And there has to be real conversations there, I think.
That's the next part of it, right? Because that's how it happens in the rest of the world. When you score 20 goals for Man United and you're on, I don't know, call it 50 grand a week, and they won't let you go to Chelsea, Man United have to give you a contract worth 100 grand a week. That's just the way it works, right? Or else you're going to go. And anyway, so all right, we're going to dig into this a little bit, Tom, and I need your expertise because it's a real talking point around the league. So Miami lost Alba, Busquets, but they've gotten better, I think, right? Sinclair, Reguilon, Ayala, Mura. Then there was the Dennis Bouanga thing, which we'll get to. Is there the talk around the league, right, is I love Sir David Beckham. I love, Landon has an affinity for him too. I think it's brilliant what they're doing in Miami. But my question is how? Is it, no one is accusing them of cheating. But how are they doing this? Is it just simply the Messi effect with like, I'll give up my firstborn to go live in Miami and play with Messi? Because they're doing moves. Like, other teams can spend money too. Other teams have shown they can spend money too. They're not doing these sort of moves. So how are they doing this?
It's a good question. It's a fair question, right? This is a club that has had sanctions for cheating in the past. They signed Blaise Matuidi. They claimed he was a TAM player. He was actually a DP, and it actually wasn't really close. And part of those sanctions, they had another player, a center back named Andres Reyes, who ironically wasn't very good. So he was their 5th designated player. So it is fair. I understand why people would ask. But for me, it's more interesting to go deal by deal to either explain or have questions. So David Ayala, one of the new signings, U22 player. Those players hit the cap at a fixed number, easily explained, done. Mikael, the center back, he's on loan. Very easy to explain why you can get that done without being a DP deal because there's no transfer fee. Okay, done. German Bertrame, the center forward they're signing from Monterrey for $15 million. DP, again, that's just money coming out of the owner's pocket. It doesn't have to do the salary cap. So those three are very easily explained. Dane St. Clair, free agency. Miami is limited to 90% of whatever Minnesota United ultimately offered Dane St. Clair. Again, another easy explanation. And we can talk about free agency stuff. Let's say, again, not to just keep using Miami, but Justin Hack was one of the most valued free agents on the market entering his prime, 24, career best season. He signed a 1-year deal with the LA Galaxy. That's interesting. Miles Robinson signed a short-term deal with FC Cincinnati. A year and a half later, he's got a new DP deal because they weren't allowed to give it to him in free agency, right? Like those are fair questions, but if that's what's happening with Dane St. Clair, I don't know that for a fact. I want to be very, very clear. But if that's what's happening, that's not a Miami specific thing, right?
Sure.
So then you keep going further, and the one that I completely understand is Tadeo Agyemang. Tadeo Agyemang was on loan last year, making about $1 million on the salary cap. He had broke a record for most goals in the playoffs. He ends up having, I think, 20 goals across all competitions. They have to sign him on a permanent transfer from Celta Vigo and give him a contract. So if he didn't get a raise, which you could ask, like, well, he just broke a record for MLS goals in the playoffs and he had a great season. Okay, let's say even he didn't get a raise. What would the transfer fee be? Because that gets factored into the salary cap. Allende is not a designated player. And we'll see when the figures comes out. I haven't heard personally what the transfer fee was to Celta Vigo. I haven't seen it reported in Spain. I'll tell you, that's also interesting. These things usually get reported eventually. So we need to find out what the fee is and what the contract is. Again, I'm not saying with any evidence that there's something untoward happening here. But when I talk to people around the league, that's the one they point at. They don't point at Bertrame or Dane St. Clair or Mikael.
Right. So with that one, with Agyemang, so if they had a bunch of, let's say the transfer fee was $3 million and his salary is $1 million, so it's a $4 million nut altogether, and they had enough GAM, if they had $3 million of GAM, can they buy him down with the transfer fee as well? They can use that. I don't know the mechanisms.
Right. And not to bore everybody, I can already feel the like plus 15 for MLS roster rules here, but the way that the budget number is calculated is salary per year plus the transfer fee divided by
like amortized over time. Right.
Let's use round numbers. 5 million transfer fee and a 5-year contract. That means he can be paid about $1 million, right? And so that's the argument for how it happens. But again, they are fair questions to be asking.
Interesting.
I'm also wondering if there's another side to this where, and I'm calling it like the Messi mafia, where he basically goes, sit down, pour my mate. How much did the club offer you? Here's a pen. Sign the contract. And then he walks out. bit like Nottingham Forest if you've read the reports. And then Messi's just getting everybody. I'm joking.
Yeah, but that is a real factor. I mean, people want to play with him.
Of course,
and I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Can we move on to my guy, Ricky Puig?
Mm-hmm.
So, you and I talked a little bit about this, Tom. What are the feelings around him and his future? And then it feels like the João Klaus stuff is a response to that. Where does that lie in general?
So Ricky Puig, it's heartbreaking, man. Like one of the most talented and joyful players. It's beyond his like quality and technical ability. It's the way he plays. It's how central he is to the Galaxy, not just their success, but like the way that they play. And man, like before Messi arrived, I think he or Denny Bouanga are my two favorite players to watch in the league. And like he's still up there, and he is one of the very, very best players in the league. Tore his ACL in the conference final in 24. He played another 30 minutes or so on a torn ACL, set up the game's only goal to get them to MLS Cup. He's rehabbing all year. He's supposed to come back by the end of 25, and he didn't. Things got delayed. The Galaxy weren't very good, so they weren't rushing. And it turns out, same knee. He needs another surgery this winter. He's out for the season, which is awful. The club are still firmly behind him. The club are still very much expecting him to be back in 27, and we'll be building around him again. They put him on the season-ending injured list, which opens up his DP spot, international slot. The club are finalizing a deal to sign a Brazilian forward, João Klaus, from St. Louis. I'm told that's like a $2 million cash deal. and he will become the club's third DP, as far as I understand, unless that there's a new contract, which I don't think that there is, but my understanding and safe assumption is that he would be a DP for right now, which they're only able to do because they're opening that spot with Ricky Puig's injury, and they'll change a little bit how they play. And there's a conversation. So they've signed Justin Hack, they've signed traded for Jacob Glesnes from the Philadelphia Union. They're going to be better than last year. Greg Vanney, when he was with Toronto FC in the like Giovinco, Bradley, Altidore days, he would kind of regularly go to a 3 at the back situation. And maybe they could do that this year, and maybe that lessens the reliance on like a true number 10, because Marco Royce can still play in one of those forward spots, but the team needs to change the way that they play, because without Ricky Puig, there is no replacement.
Correct.
Yeah, it's interesting because I always defer to Landon, who is obviously a club legend there and has sort of his finger on the pulse. But I've said all along, like, it's devastating with Ricky Puig, but I personally don't know if you can bank it. If he comes back and he's brilliant, amazing. But I don't think you can bank on that. So I actually think the pressure's on the Galaxy to say, let's get better. Let's be really good. And by the way, if he comes back and he's firing, amazing. But like, they have to sort of move on respectfully and then plug him in if things work. And so that might mean changing tactics. Yeah. Let's stay out west. Plain and simple, where did things go wrong with San Diego FC and Chucky Lozano?
Oh man, so I don't have all the details on this, but so he was not thrilled with playing time. The genesis of him being suspended was things were building throughout the year. It was more or less like just the last thing that happened, and it was a big explosion. They were playing Houston Dynamo in October. They hadn't scored any goals at halftime. Head coach Mikey Varis says, Chucky Lozano, you're out. So taking you out of the game. Chucky blows up, screams at him, and within the locker room. What I was told is that it wasn't just a Chucky versus Mikey Varis situation. It seems that the other players weren't thrilled with his reaction. Ironically, Chucky Lozano goes out of the game. They score 4 goals in the second half. They did really, really well, kind of keeping this under wraps. Nobody even noticed because that went into the international break. Then the next game, Chucky's just not in the team. And it's like, okay, well, he's had hamstring issues. Like maybe it's either rest or maybe it's just a small tweak. And then like Mikey Varis just kind of says like, yeah, not injury related. And then like that kind of set off alarms. And it turns out it was an internal suspension. He gets brought back into the group. But by the playoffs, like he's not starting. And San Diego are saying this is just like a personnel decision, that we don't see a prominent role for Chucky Lozano this year. And Chucky's going to want to be playing more ahead of the World Cup and just in general. He was very productive when he was on the field. I believe he had like 18 or 19 goal contributions, and his underlying numbers were solid too. So it has to be more about the personality side of things and the way it is in the locker room, because he was a productive player. Maybe not quite up to the transfer fee and the salary that they were paying him, but I think it just makes sense for all parties to move on. But San Diego are in a really tough spot. He just signed this long-term contract, and the sporting director has come out, and I respect the transparency, but he's like, hey, he's not in the plans this year. So Cruz Azul has been reported to be interested. Last I checked with San Diego a week ago or so, there hadn't been any contact from Cruz Azul. If you're another team that is considering Chucky Lozano, where would you start the bidding, guys? Because I would say free transfer, and we'll cover $1 million of his salary, because we're saving you. You look at it as a sunk cost. If we don't take him, you probably have to buy him out, or you just have to pay him no matter what. So we'll give you $1 million every year, and that saves you money. So I'm very curious to see where this ends up.
I respect the transparency too, but I think it was a mistake. I think doing it, you put that out publicly, and now all of a sudden all of your leverage is gone. Everything. You do it privately and say, look, we're happy with him, but it's just not the right fit, whatever. Let's get a deal done, whatever. But now when you say he's not in our plans, and in that way, now you have no leverage. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Well, it's what I always say in MLS. You can't miss on DPs. There's nowhere to put them. You can, anywhere else in the world, you can miss on a big player. You can shift them. Can't do it in MLS.
But my pushback there, like I generally agree, and mostly that's correct. But San Diego did just finish first in the West because they nailed their other DP signing on Dreyer. And whether or not if they don't finish first in the West, I don't want to see people taking like a victory lap, like, oh no, they were frauds or they weren't that good, because literally back-to-back years having 60+ points, I believe before this year, like maybe one team had done it in like the last 10 or 15 years. So it's not easy to stay at the top. Like I think that they were completely for real, but that doesn't mean that they're going to finish first in the West.
I think I agree with you. My point is, you can't miss on a DP. Not that you can't be good. They were good. There's no
Right.
there's no exit plan to get said
Yeah.
DP out.
Good point.
Like you
Good
said,
point.
you got to pay him up.
And you have to imagine what could have been, right? Had you got that, I mean, had you got anything productive at the end of the year out of that kind of money spent, right? And,
Yeah.
and we'll see. Maybe they do get rid of him, and then someone really big comes in. Couple more for you, Tom. Where do we want to go? Let's go real quick with the Wilfred Nancy stuff. When
Tough.
he went to Celtic, Tim and I disagree on all this. I didn't think it was the right thing to do. He said you have to take it. When he went, then when things went poor, we heard these rumblings of like, oh, maybe Columbus want him back, or maybe LAFC were like, shoot, we signed Mark Dos Santos, but now we got Wilfred Nancy. Was there anything you heard behind the scenes where those were actual conversations, thinking like, shoot, we might have this outside chance of getting Wilfred Nancy?
There's nothing that I heard that indicated that, even on the Columbus side. And again, maybe that maybe somebody thought it, and I just haven't heard it. Like, that's obviously very possible, but just from my understanding, there was nothing. And I think too, for Nancy, he's a proud guy and he's determined. It went terribly, right? It literally could not have gone worse at Celtic. I would be surprised if his next job is in MLS, and maybe that's a little naive from me, because
You'd be surprised if it is?
Yeah, because
interesting.
Again, maybe that's naive, because he could have his pick at any job. He'd become one of the highest paid managers in the league. He would have a lot of control because of what he's earned, what he did in Columbus and Montreal. But he's always wanted to go to Europe. He's always wanted this next step. So for him to go to Celtic and it go just disastrously after a month, and then be like, all right, I'm back to MLS, I'd be a little bit surprised just from what I know about him. But again, that's probably naive, because the most money and the most control and the most security would be in MLS rather than going to a mid-table Ligue 1 club.
Yeah, look, I don't disagree with you, other than the fact that there is, I say this freely, there's global snobbery when it comes to how people view American players and not coaches who have based their success in America, whether you're American or not. And then all of a sudden, like the easy thing to say is not to dig into him and go, oh, he's actually a good coach. They'll go, success in MLS and failed miserably at Celtic. Done. Like there's a snobbery around global football thinking. But yes, I'd like to see him have success.
The only thing I'd say is I don't see him going to a club in the UK again. I don't think that fans of any club,
No.
if a championship club tried to hire him,
Yeah.
I don't think that the fans would let that happen just because of how bad it went at Celtic.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, last one for me. Thomas Muller and Sonny came in last year. Are there any big names that you're hearing could be potential moves this coming year, either in the winter now, or, well, it's almost done, or in the summer? Anything you're hearing behind the scenes?
Yeah, the Robert Lewandowski Chicago fire is very, very real. They have the money, they have the infrastructure now, and they, more importantly, probably that. But they have the team that's good. And Greg Berhalter and Chicago have tried Neymar and they tried Kevin De Bruyne. They were serious on both.
Wow.
They weren't like the second team with Neymar, but they were one of the finalists, and he ends up going back to Santos. Kevin De Bruyne, they were second there, and there was a while where I thought that was going to happen. So they have the money, they have the recruitment that they can do. And talking to Greg Berhalter about that, he's like, when we go into we talk about the city of Chicago, of course, we talk about our facilities, we think that's top. He goes, we talk about the football. Like, we talk about how you'd fit in the team, why this would be good for you. Like Lewandowski, you put him in literally any team, he's going to score goals. But for that team, I think it'd be a great fit. They're not the only team that's interested in him in MLS. They would be kind of the first option at the moment. And given the money, the Polish connections to the city, that's something I would see getting done. Josh Sargent, I know we just talked about him. I think that there's going to be some surprises after the World Cup, because you're going to have a lot of guys who are just tunnel vision for the 2026 World Cup. And a lot of people will be here. They're going to see the facilities. And,
right.
I've talked to some of the teams that are hosting big countries at their training facilities, and they're like, dude, like this is a recruiting pitch for us.
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
All these guys are going to get blown away by this. So that's where I'm at.
I think that's great. I mean, Lewandowski's brilliant. I think, having watched KDB for the last few years, like that's a guy who just is, he'd never down tools. He'd be so good for a team like Chicago. My big question about Neymar, we know what a global superstar is. That would scare me. That would scare the life out of me to sign him, just because of why everybody knows. You're like, what's the purpose of his coming here? But anyway, it's not our problem. That'd be fun to watch. Last one, then we'll get you out of here, Tom. Fulham reportedly submitted a bid of $38 million for Ricardo Pepi. How is that close? Is that accurate? Where do you stand on this?
Yeah. Sources told me that second bid came in at $38 million, around 32 million euros. The sides are close. This bid is not enough, but the way it was described to me is kind of figuring out final details, and if Fulham up their offer a little bit, and maybe work around with some add-ons or whatever, like the machinations of the final deal, there's optimism that this one gets done. And Fulham are obviously a longtime suitor for Ricardo Pepi, and obviously they really, really want him, not just for right now. Like, he's got a broken forearm. He's out for around 2 months, right? Like, for them to, they submitted their first bid right before the window opened, and since then is when he broke his arm, and they're still pushing and pushing again. So I would be optimistic that this one gets done, but it's going to require a little bit more money from Fulham, and there's optimism that that's going to happen.
And you think it get done before the window shuts? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Great.
Oof.
Good.
Well, let's hope so for everyone's sake. It'd be great for Pepi too, but he's got to get healthy first and foremost.
Yep.
LD, it's time for the Unfiltered Refresh, sponsored by Coors Light. Choose chill. Get Coors Light delivered. Go to CoorsLight.com/USLNT. I was going to ask you who chose chill, but there's quite literally one person on the planet this week that chose chill.
Only one, Timmy. That is the one and only Trinity Rodman, who officially re-signs now with Washington.
She got paid.
She got paid. And becomes the highest paid player in the world, according to her agent. Who knows if that's real or not, but I love that.
I like it.
She also yesterday in LA scored in her return to the national team and captained the team. You can call her Captain Trin now. Honorable mention, by the way, and huge shout out to Michelle Kang for ponying up the money. I was at this event with her in New York, and they asked her at the end, it was all these like donors, prospective donors to donate money to US Soccer, whatever. And there was like, is there anything you would say to everyone out here? And she's like, open your checkbooks, get your checkbook out and start spending money. And she did it. She did it with Trinity. Trinity, congratulations to you. She's amazing, Timmy. We both love her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, I think that when we talk to Emma Hayes and we look at Trinity Rodman, and she went through some injuries, it for me, you can't, and I believe this, I believe this, you can't treat every player the same. Some players get special treatment. That's how it works. And by the way, you earn it. And she's earned her keep. She's quite literally changing the face of women's soccer, and we've seen a lot of women do that over time. And she is the latest installment of that. So, congratulations to you, Trinity. You got paid. You're playing, scoring, captain. Long may that continue.
Long may it continue. Cheers to you, Trin, for choosing chill. All right, Tom, thank you very much. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking Agyemang, McKennie, Reyna, and more right here on Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, as always, presented by Volkswagen. The Unfiltered Soccer podcast is brought to you by Volkswagen, the presenting partner of US Soccer.
Find out more about how VW is supporting US Soccer at VW.com. And check out the Tiguan, bringing nice things to everyone.
Rolling sound, quick.
Reset.
Hi, I'm referee number 2. So sorry I'm late. Violation. Red card. And cut. I can do it again.
Moving on.
Oh, we got it.
So this is your car, huh?
Yeah. Bye, guys.
How much are we paying this guy?
I don't even know who that is.
Soccer doesn't slow down. Big fixtures, derby days, cup clashes, and international action keep the calendar full. Club or country, the schedule is stacked. And you can get in on every match with FanDuel. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, make a $5 bet, and if you win, you'll unlock $200 in bonus bets to use on goal scorer markets, match result, over-unders, same-game parlays, and so much more. With the matches stacking up, there's never been a better time to make your move. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and get started.
Art LD, one of our favorite segments, as always, USMNT on USLNT. Where do you want to start, kid? Let's look.
Let's
Well,
go the Pepi stuff. That was
yeah.
interesting, huh? It seems like it's imminent, like it's going to happen. What do you think?
Yeah.
You like
Look,
it, not like it?
I like, I think Ricardo Pepi, when he's healthy, has shown at PSV that he can score goals. He can do the business, whether that be as a substitute or a starter. I think he's a starting player. I would like to see, again, this is the selfish side of me. I would like to see an American get a run in the Premier League. I think Fulham's a really good club for him. From an out and out number 9, they're trying to upgrade. Obviously, Raul Jimenez has done brilliantly for them. He really has. But they obviously need to create competition. They see Ricardo Pepi as the guy to do it. It's been a good fit for a lot of American players as well down the years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like it. I like it. And again, it's the toughest breeding ground there is. And if he can do well there, he'll be off to something.
I really do want it to go well.
Mhm.
I do. I don't want to be like a wet blanket. My concern is that so many people score goals in the Dutch league.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't transfer. And I mean, we can go through not only Americans, but I mean, Michael Bradley scored like 30 goals in the Dutch league, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't always transfer because that league is sort of just made to attack and create attacking players because then they want to sell them, and it's just part of the ecosystem. So I do want it to work. I do hope it works. It's really crucial, like it was for me having you there, that he's got Jedi there.
Sure.
If it happens, that's a really, really big deal that people don't think about. So let's hope it works.
And I'm jealous he gets to live in West London. I was in Manchester for 13 years. Enjoy West London, bro.
He's going to love it. Okay, so Patrick Agyemang, 8th goal of the season for Derby, 8 goals and 3 assists in 27 games. Actually, first curious what you guys think out there. Have you changed your tune on him? How do you feel about him? I know when he was at Charlotte, he was, people had a lot to say about him when he was playing games for the national team. You and I were much higher on him than the general public. But are you guys starting to change your tune a little bit? And then Timmy, what are your thoughts now? Where does he stand, I guess, in the pecking order too? And we just talked about Pepi.
Sure. Well, I think when you're in the position that we're in, we oftentimes are asked or are willingly giving our opinion on everything: teams, managers, players. And I was high on him for what I thought there was a rawness about his game, but I thought there was definitely something about Agyemang that I really liked. And so in order to develop, you have to take the next step, right? You have to go to the next step, which is the championship. Can you perform there? 8 goals, 3 assists in 27 games, I believe. That's a decent return. And by the way, we're not halfway through the season, right? Like if he gets 12 goals this year and 6 assists, that's a damn good season, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
Right. And so
his first year. Yeah.
First year. So
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what our listeners think. Of course, where do I put him in the pecking order? So if I'm saying you and I agree that Flo is first, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, I don't even care where I put him in the pecking order because I got Flo, we got Pepi, who's going to go to Fulham and bang in goals. We hope, right? We've got Agyemang playing really well, and Haji Wright. I'm thinking if those are the 4 that go to the World Cup and they all are singing a tune going into the summer, happy days, man. Because again, I think they play differently. They're completely different, and he's much stronger, back to goal, physical, sort of battering ram at times, but obviously clearly in front of goal, he can pick out a corner. So I'm here for it.
He's on my roster all day long.
Yeah,
because the word I use with him is he's impactful. Doesn't always look pretty. Doesn't always show like he's Flo or some like top class elegant striker, but he impacts the game so much. Watching the final against Mexico over the summer, like he just really impacts the game. So he's on my roster all day long.
Definitely.
All day long. A guy who has been incredibly consistent and probably the best player in Serie A over the last few weeks, excuse me, is Weston McKennie. And every time I look, he's just been better and better. He's man of the match. He's playing well. He's starting. He's playing in different positions. His manager, Tim, however, Luciano Spalletti, advocating for Weston to play in a more offensive position. And he said, and I quote, McKennie is a perfect central striker. I don't know where this came from. He fights, he's strong in the air, and he can jump high. He plays to get results because he makes decisions. He would be a perfect striker. Thoughts?
My thoughts are I'm curious to see what the next lineup is and if he plays him at central striker. So, yeah, I'm not sure that I've ever considered him a striker. I think he's a midfielder with a nose for goal for sure. But I don't know. I just love when he is very polarizing, Weston McKennie, and he's a bit of an enigma because he has these stretches where whether he goes to Leeds and falls out of favor, with his manager at Juventus, and we know Italian clubs, they change their managers like their underwear, right? And so it doesn't work out, or the national team, whether he's in or he's out. He, I mean, you could argue LD. We always talk about Christian Pulisic as the best out and out, most talented U.S. soccer player right now, and he's there. He's number one. You can make a very strong argument that Weston McKennie is in terms of talent and ability. Like if he were to play at his optimum all the time, we would be having a completely different conversation about him because he's that good and he's that talented, which is what he's showing in spurts, and now he's maintained that consistency. So for me, it'd be hard to argue who's more talented on the football pitch. So, but I don't know if he's a striker.
Does that mean he's going to play him there?
Wait and see. This weekend we're gonna look at that lineup and see if he's the number 9.
The thing is you can't just all of a sudden start playing as a striker. There's so much nuance to playing in that role that you just don't understand. And for central midfield, look, I've played all over the field. When you're a midfielder, a central midfielder, or a wide midfielder, most of the time you're facing the goal, right? And when you're a striker, a lot of the time you're facing away from the goal, and that whole dynamic is very, very different. You see the field literally through a different lens because you don't know what's behind you when you're a striker. You don't know. Sometimes you turn and face up and you're running, and sometimes you're just facing the field with your back to the goal, and that's a whole different dynamic. And what Weston's really good at is arriving late, face it like Clint was, like just facing the field, facing the goal, and going and making plays. So it's just a bizarre comment.
It's interesting. The only comparison, I don't have many, is at Arsenal recently, and I had a bit of a striker crisis. Mikel Merino, the midfielder, who admittedly said, hey, I'm not a striker. Apparently he was doing some wild crap in training, and they were like, yo, this guy could be our striker. And then he bangs in like some timely goals for Arsenal as a striker. But that's just like that's a stopgap. So I think Weston will be in the midfield. But anyway, great that he's doing so well.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's do a little head-to-head. Let's pit we're not actually pitting them against each other, but 2 national team players playing in a similar position, and tell me, Tim, who is ahead on your depth chart, your personal depth chart. Let's start with Tim Weah and Malik Tillman. That's an interesting one.
That's an interesting one. I don't personally see Tim Weah and Malik Tillman as a like for like. I mean, he could play in and around the same area on the pitch. They do different things for me. They do. I feel like Weah is a proper winger. He's someone who's gonna stay wide, cut in, get beyond, and he does it well. Malik Tillman, maybe he can do that and be asked to do that. He's really good in pockets though. Like in terms of like when you come from the wide area, like drifting inside, starting to make the game. Not that Timothy Weah can't do that. Malik Tillman is just better at that, and I think Timothy Weah is better at stretching the field. So, ideally, I would have them both in my team. Can we get them both in the team? I mean, you're asking me to pick one.
Well, if you had to start one's starting, one's not. Who are you starting?
Probably Tillman, but again, I think that's just based on sort of like tactical formations, trying to get the ball and feeling like he creates more possession. But again, that's not a knock on Tim Weah because I think he's
I think too Tim Weah's been playing as a wing back a lot. And I think between Serginho and Freeman, that's covered. And I think we need more of probably what Tillman has. So I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dest and Freeman, let's do those two.
Okay.
You could also put Tim Weah in that conversation too.
Sure.
Thoughts?
I like what Alex Freeman's done over the last 12 months. I think Serginho Dest is, I used the word enigma before. He's still someone that I, like a lot of other people, are just hopeful that, and maybe this is a microcosm of a team where I'm thinking our team is really good. Like when they're all at it, at their best, clicking, this is a really good, talented team. We don't see it often enough, but they're a really talented team. And I sort of feel the same way about Sergiño Dest. Like, I, I think there's a lot more there. I think there's a super talented player there. Can he match that with being fit and being driven and being determined? And if so, he's my starter. Yeah.
Interesting. I think this is not apples to apples, but it feels like a similar trajectory to what DeMarcus and I had, Beasley and I had going into 2002. Is every time Bruce gave us a challenge, we met it. And then another challenge, we met it. So get our debut, we meet it. Play in the Gold Cup, we're great. Play in the friendlies, we're good. Play in the games before the World Cup, and next thing you know, we're starting games in the World Cup. And it just feels to me now that Alex Freeman's on. Every time Pochettino gives him a challenge, he hits it. And I don't know how you keep him off the field right now. I think he's going to start in these games in March. And if he plays well, I don't know how you keep him off the field. He's been, and that's not just me talking. I think Pochettino feels that way too. So it's going to be really interesting to see, because you don't want to leave Sergiño Dest on the sideline either. So. All right, last one here. Christian Roldan or Johnny Cardoso, who started for Atletico this week, and he started 3 of their last 4 games. It's kind of like he's so weird because he kind of gets lost in all the fray. But the guy's starting games for Atletico Madrid. I mean, that's a real thing. It's a real thing.
It is a real thing. Neither of these players are starters for me. So is this a squad question? And if this is a squad question, then it's Christian
that's
Roldan.
A good point. Yeah.
It's Christian Roldan because, yes, he started for Atletico. But again, with how I look at some of these players and their participation over the last 2 or 3 years, it's stop-start, and they've been in the national team, and they've not been, and they kind of disappear, and then they come back. It's hard to get a gauge on these guys. Really is. And I think, again, if that's the case, it's what else do you bring? What intangibles? We know who Christian Roldan is. We know what he's going to do. Pochettino knows what he's going to do. So for me, it's Christian.
Yeah, I can't say it any better. I totally agree.
All right, LT, let's hit the Premier League. Biggest game of the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Used to be the biggest game on the calendar over the last couple decades. Arsenal, Manchester United. Arsenal's at the Emirates. It looked nailed on. Manchester United only in their second game under new head coach, Michael Carrick. And they won. It was a brilliant win. Brilliant performance, by the way, by Manchester United away. They won 3-2. Great game of football. I mean, you want to talk about like a throwback. They were building it up as like,
totally.
Where has this game gone? Well, it came back. It came back. I'm sure you watched it, but it was pretty interesting. Arsenal, there's a 4-point gap now. It was 7 at one point, and it could have gone to 10, and now it's back down to 4. And Man City and Aston Villa are playing really well. Man City are playing okay given their standards, but yet here we are with a 4-point gap.
It's wild.
Yeah,
it's wild. Is this like a turning point game for Arsenal where like they lose? They're not going to lose a few in a row, but like they drop some points in the next few games because they like feel they felt invincible, and now they're very mortal now. Yeah.
So I still think when you look at it, they're the best team. They're the best team from the attack, defense, set pieces, transition. They're brilliant. They really are. Every team's gonna have a bit of a blip. My big challenge basically is sort of like to Arsenal internally right now, because of the competitions they're in. Right around January, February is when everyone's like, can they win the quadruple? Can they win the treble? Shut up. Just shut up. Like, if you win 1, amazing. If you're lucky to win 2, great. Stop chatting this nonsense. Like, get focused. Not that they're chatting and everyone else around is chatting. But I still think they're the best team. I do believe that Villa, with the 4-point gap, I do believe between now and the end of the season, Villa and City will drop more points. And I think Arsenal, this was sort of a blip, but we'll see.
Yeah, and United have, of course, the new manager bump there. He's just simplified everything. Everybody's talking about this culture piece, and you were there, you lived it. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. So how important is that vis-a-vis Manchester United, because I'm very strong about how I feel about culture, and I think it's really, really important. But I don't know. Does that still exist? I mean, Sir Alex he's been gone so long. So is that a real thing, or is this just like new manager simplified? They won a few games.
Yeah. That the latter part. Manchester United, and I played for 3 seasons for Sir Alex Ferguson, and I am so honored that I had that in my career. The club and the culture at that club that was built by Sir Alex Ferguson and those brilliant teams is incredible. Like, to experience it's so impossible to even like try and explain it. It has been explained very
It's
eloquently
amazing you got to
over
be
the
part of
years.
that, by the way.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, and I feel so thankful for it. But that's gone, by the way. The club itself is a brilliant football club, but you go 12 years and countless managers
Right.
and underperforming, you don't then get to go, yeah, culture. Now, is Michael Carrick a culture guy? Does he know the club? Did he play for Sir Alex Ferguson? Did he win everything? Yes. And he's a good young manager. But he hasn't automatically instilled club
Right.
culture into a bunch of guys, by the way, who didn't know where the sticker twist, had no leadership. I wouldn't say knew the club culture, because
Right.
otherwise they'd have done that for the last however many years. What happens is a new manager comes in, Ruben Amorim, who I think is a good manager, threw so much at them,
Yeah.
right, that it became almost robotic. You could see it in their performances. What Michael Carrick did, and I'll give you a tangible example. What Michael Carrick did is he gone, right, not square peg and round holes. We're not a back 3 with 2 wing backs. We're a back 4, right? We're simplifying this. Stay in your slots. Don't go very far. If one of our fullbacks goes, the other one tucks around. We learned this in under 6 soccer, right? We're gonna play 2 holding midfielders. Again, protect. If one of you wants to go, if we have good possession, go. You don't both vacate the midfield, right? So he started simplifying this. And when I was at Manchester United, we would sit in and by the way, we had the best players in the world at the time, right? Because that's what Sir Alex Ferguson did. He said we'd sit in a pregame meeting. He'd show a video. He'd turn it off, and he'd say, "Run forward, pass forward, play forward." That's it. That was his team talk. That was it. And everybody understood. And so I think that's what Michael Carrick did. And I think he probably said, by the way, when you get into the forward area, express yourself. We're going to play on the break. When you break, don't come back. Express yourself. And that's what they're doing. I'll give you an example. Roberto Martinez, who I think is a brilliant manager, had him at Everton, played for 3 years. Tactically, he's a savant. He's brilliant, right? We fell on hard times. He got sacked. David Unsworth, who used to be the captain of the club, Unzi came in. He was the under 21 manager. He took over the team for the remaining 3 games. We got onto training, LD. He took the pitch. He had the groundsman put 2 lines, like a football hash, right? One here and one here. And he said, if the ball's on the right-hand side, all 11 players on the right-hand side. If the ball's on the left-hand side, all 11 players on the left-hand side. Compact. When you get into the forward areas, do what you do best. Attack. And it was like, bang, we won like 3 games in a row, right? It's like, it's
amazing.
It just takes the shackles off. These guys have been overthinking things. Carrick has come in and he's basically simplified everything and said, go. And they're enjoying it. You can see they're enjoying it.
It's funny to me to see how, and I love hearing you talk about that. It's funny to see how soccer just keeps evolving over time, right? Because that's what it was for so many years.
Totally.
And like me growing up, that's all soccer was like man management, get the most out of your players, very simplified. And the game has become a lot more now about coaches and managers in that way. And the players are sort of interchangeable. And you see it at the youth level. You see it with youth soccer now because it becomes very robotic and like we're doing this and then the pass goes
Totally.
there and then it goes here and then and this is what we do. And you sort of lost that art of it. And I wonder now, you're starting to see a little change where teams that are more pragmatic are getting results. And these coaches who are like these brilliant, like tactical, do something different and change
Sure.
the game a little bit are starting to not phase out, but they're starting to get found out a little bit. And it's really interesting. And I think there's room for both, but it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out.
Well, it's interesting because as we start to talk about this, and I said this on air on NBC this weekend, I said, talking about this exact topic, I said, I got a lot of coaching friends who are going to blow up my phone because here's the thing. They chat some shite. I believe in tactics, but they chat some shite. This is how we're going to play it this way and we're going to do this. And they got the board behind it. And by the way, It ain't about that. Yeah, you need a structural setup. But the amount of times that these coaches talk themselves over and over and over, it's like, get the best players, set them up, give them an idea and a structure. And I'm not saying throw tactics out the window. Tactics are important. But I look at Arsenal, and do I think they have tactics? Yeah. Do I think they have the best players? Yeah. And I think Mikel Arteta basically says, play from they defend their Arsenal silky football. They defend their box better than any team in Europe, literally.
Yeah.
So there's tactics, and then there's also like setting your team up to have a good, strong base and allowing your best players to go express themselves.
When you take your coaching licenses here, it's funny. The biggest thing they want you to do is have a game model, a way of playing that is not. There's very little, if no time, spent on how you manage players, how you deal with situations, how you get people to produce, and how do you motivate and those things. It's really interesting. It's just become, I think, a little too far skewed the other way. And we'll see how it comes back over time.
Well, listen. For all of you who love soccer and haven't seen it, there's a movie in England. I saw it like my first week there. It's called Mike Bassett, England Manager. And in the movie, someone asked him a question, and he goes 4-4-2, and that's it. and that's the reaction you'll get. So anyone who hasn't seen it, Mike Bassett, England Manager, it's a must watch if you're a football fan.
That's so good. All right, speaking of movies, our guy Adam Crafton at the Athletic said that United have agreed a deal with North American production company Lionsgate to create a dramatized retelling of the club's history. The production remains in development phase, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be based and similar to The Crown, which was a 6-season historical drama series on Netflix, which chronicled the life of a British monarch named Queen Elizabeth II. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts, dude?
My thoughts are, 1, am I in it? And 2,
who's playing you?
And 2, who's playing me? Here's the thing. I'm not getting anywhere near that. But I think it'd be cool.
You're not getting near it. If they call you and say what if they want you to do a cameo?
Obviously, let's get me on screen. I'm saying when they're writing the script, this bald-head American fella ain't making the cut. I'm on the editing.
He's the one. Oh, I see. He's the one who was cleaning the boots for Van der Sar and others.
I think it's cool. I mean, the history of the club. I'm shocked that it's 2026. We haven't had this yet. So yeah, really cool.
All right, it's stoppage time, sponsored by FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started. All right, it's the final week of the UEFA Champions League group stage. All 36 teams are playing at the same time on Wednesday. Some are trying to make it into the 8 spots that qualify automatically to the knockouts, and the rest are playing for the final 16 playoff spots that will face off in February. Our first game is Monaco against Juve. Juventus and Monaco are most likely going to finish in the playoff game positions, but depending on teams below them, and especially for Monaco, a loss could see Monaco tumble out of the competition altogether. Juve, on the other hand, have 4 wins, a draw, and 1 loss in all competitions, and they've been playing very well lately, led by our guy Weston McKennie. I think Juve win this one. Man City Galatasaray. A win here for City will increase their chances of getting to skip the playoff games, which they need. They don't need 2 more games added to their schedule. The Turkish side, Galatasaray, however, sit right in the middle of those playoff spots at 17th. Any kind of points here could take them from unseeded to the seeded half of the table and help their chances when drawing a playoff opponent. I think City win. They're not in great form lately, but I think they win here. All right, Napoli, Chelsea. Chelsea currently 8th in the Champions League, hoping a win against Napoli keeps them out of the playoff spots in February. Since Rosinha has taken over earlier this month, the club has 4 wins and 2 losses in all competitions, a great win away on the weekend as well. The defending Serie A champions are way down the table in 25th place, and they are absolutely fighting for a chance to get into the playoff games, so they need a win here. I think Chelsea win the game. They're the better team, and I think Chelsea win. PSG Newcastle, the defending champs PSG, are currently in 6th place with 4 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. They're tied with Newcastle on points, and both teams will be fighting with Chelsea to stay out of those playoff games. I think PSG, slightly better team here. Newcastle, solid, but I think PSG win the game. So Unfiltered Soccer's UEFA Champions League parlays this week are Juve to beat Monaco, Man City to beat Galatasaray, Chelsea to beat Napoli, and PSG to beat Newcastle. Don't forget to check out the full list of Unfiltered Soccer futures on our socials later this week. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to get into your questions in the AT&T Fan Connection with JR right here on Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, presented by Volkswagen.
This episode is brought to you by Airbnb.
You know, I travel so often to see my daughter play college soccer, and we're going to some of these towns where big sporting events, oftentimes local accommodations are sold out. And I'm a last minute traveler. So I need to be able to go on Airbnb and not have to worry about hotels. And I think for locals, you can post your home on Airbnb, make some money to then go to your favorite sporting event, and also in the process make my life easier.
And look, Tim, if you love sports and you love fans and you want people to experience that real environment, when you host your home, you allow them to be really close to the action in a neighborhood location, which is amazing. So you can sort of give back while hosting your home and making a few bucks on the way.
Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host.
All right, Timmy, we're into the new year. This year is going to be crazy. You and I are going to have so much going on with everything going on this summer. It's going to be wild. It's stressful too. A lot of photo shoots, appearances, broadcasting, podcasting. So when it's time to choose chill, it's great to grab a Coors Light, relax. What I'm going to start doing this year actually is playing a lot of hockey. Got a game tonight. And after the game, believe it or not, Tim, they cracked open a bunch of Coors Lights right after the game. And it made me think of you. And it was my way of choosing chill too.
Love it. When you embrace a chill mindset this year, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Choose chill from the start and reach for a Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door. Visit CoorsLight.com/UFS, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer.
Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
There's nothing better than feeling like someone has your back and that things are going to get done even without you having to ask. Like your crisp new jersey waiting for you in the locker room, or a perfectly set up wall for a free kick.
Yeah, as we on Unfiltered Soccer get ready for next summer, we know that very little in the beautiful game is guaranteed. But as we prepare to bring our unfiltered brand of nonstop soccer coverage, it's good to know AT&T has your back with the AT&T Guarantee.
Staying connected matters. That's why in the rare event of a network outage, AT&T will proactively credit you for a full day of service. That's the AT&T Guarantee.
Learn more at att.com/guarantee. AT&T, connecting changes everything.
Credit for fiber downtime lasting 20 minutes or more, or a wireless downtime lasting 60 minutes or more caused by a single incident impacting 10 or more towers. Must be connected to impacted towers at onset of outage. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See att.com/guarantee for full details. It's time for the Fan Connection presented by AT&T. Every week we invite you, the listener, to connect with us by submitting your questions. At AT&T, connecting changes everything. And on USLNT, our connections with you will help grow the game. Time now for the AT&T Fan Connection, where we welcome in Jordan wearing USLNT swag. Jordan, what's happening?
Swag.
Got my hoodie on because there's like 9 feet of snow outside.
Have you got snowed in?
You got snowed in? Yeah. It's crazy.
That's how we do.
It's January in New York. What are you going to do?
When you say snowed in, does that mean you literally can't get out your door?
You don't want to go out your
No,
door.
no.
Oh,
You don't want to go out. It's also really, really, I think it's like 12 degrees
Freezing
outside
cold.
right now,
Freezing cold.
Fahrenheit.
Ooh.
Yeah, no.
Not
It's
nice.
a kind
Sorry, guys.
of cold where like you're starting to get a little hard to breathe out there for too
Yeah.
long.
You know what you could do?
Move to California.
You could move to San Diego.
Yeah, okay.
It's a good life, bro.
I'll get right
It's a
on
good
that.
life.
Yeah. All right. We'll welcome
I have a lot of stuff to get through today.
Give it to
Let's
on.
start. So I know you guys love when people bring you some heat, but it is actually me who is getting the heat today, and I'm
you.
I'm going to take this one because it's my fault. This one is from Tyler via email, and he said, "Thanks for putting my question on the air. It was the one about fans thinking referees are biased. It was awesome to hear Landon and Tim talking about it, but you put somebody else's name on there. My name is Tyler, not Parker. It's probably because I'm an Evertonian and not a cop-eye. I get it. I'm trying to get some street cred around here. Still love the show.
Love it.
Tyler, I'm really sorry. I think you probably saw a couple weeks ago, I was really sick on the show. And so frankly, the fact that I mess up one person's name and not the entire show is amazing. But I am sorry that we got
Up
your
the
name
top.
wrong.
Up the
You should
Toffees.
hear what she calls us, by the way.
Let's not even go there. Let's do some questions.
Let's do
All
it.
right.
This one is from Nick via email, who actually said in his message that he hopes that I have recovered from my cold. I have.
That's
Thank you,
so
Nick.
sweet.
Very nice of you. Nick said, I see a large free kick issue for the U.S. men's national team heading into the World Cup. I do not believe Pulisic has shown himself to be a strong free kick taker, but we do have an excellent free kick taker in Sebastian Berhalter, who is still uncertain whether he will be on the final roster. Should Pochettino consider starting or giving Berhalter significant minutes in order for us to have an effective free kick taker in the World Cup games? Because we all know that set pieces will be crucial to win some of the games.
This is actually a really, really good question. And it's a great philosophical question. I'm curious what you think, Tim. You're not going to, I don't think, tell me if I'm wrong, any manager is going to start a player simply because they're good on set pieces.
Correct.
But if it's close, and even if they're a little bit behind someone else, you might tilt and play them because of that. Do you agree with that?
Possibly.
Or do you think that ever goes into a manager's mind?
Possibly.
Because, I mean, the reality is set pieces are a big part of the game.
Yeah,
They are.
They are, but
Attacking and defending.
Yeah, okay. I hear you. Here's my thing. I think it's on the manager or set piece coach or whoever handles set pieces. You've got incredibly talented world-class players. If you're talking about like a national team, you'll have one or two world-class players, right? The idea is that in your 2 or 3 of your players in your starting 11 LD have to be able to take free kicks at a very high level, right? And that means training them, having the bravery to take them. Like this is, Declan Rice, by the way, and I know Arsenal's the best set piece team in the world. His balls are like every time he swings a ball in, it's literally perfect. But Declan Rice is a good player. I get it. But Soccer from the other side, when Soccer takes it, it's inch perfect. So I don't know if I subscribe to like the better free kick taker wins out. I think the game is too dynamic for that. But obviously, I think the point is, I don't know if the question was about like direct free kicks in terms of like getting it up and over the wall to score, or more like wide free kicks.
No, I think he's saying in general, right? Because in the course of a game, you're going to have 3, 4, 5, 10 either corners, set piece, maybe more.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, the delivery from Sebastian versus Christian, for example, is not even close.
Sure.
Sebastian's far superior. Now, you're not going to start Sebastian over Christian. There's no way.
Right.
But it is something that's really interesting to think about as you're putting together a lineup. If Sebastian is someone who you're maybe considering starting, right? I don't know if he is or not, but it's just an interesting philosophical. I mean, like David Beckham, right? He was a top player. But as he got older, if he was maybe on the bubble, whether he was going to start or not, it's something you got to think about, right?
Yeah. I mean, we need to get better at free kicks. I don't know. I mean, I think Weston can take one. I think I do. I just think I think the game is, again, too dynamic, too long. Set pieces are important, but it's also, there's two sides to it. Put it in a good, go on.
No, you're right. Like, then just work on it.
Yeah, of
like
course.
right now, Pochettino or Jesus say, look, Weston, you're going to be well, they're not going to say it, but like you are likely going to be on the field. We need you doing this every day for the next 4 months and getting really good at it.
And I also have a very simplistic view of set pieces, which I truly believe. And the fact of the matter is, you put a decent ball in a good area, and you attack it with vengeance.
It's true, but there is differences in the quality of service.
Of course, yeah, of course.
That give you a higher percentage chance to score.
Fair.
No question.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Okay, this next question is from Ian via email. Is the ability to use both feet underrated? It's so surprising to me that professional soccer players, even at the highest level, often seem incapable of using their weak foot. You can see in the game that one-footed players often miss opportunities, passes, shots, dribbles, because they didn't want to use their weak foot. It puts them at a disadvantage and makes them more predictable. So for me, it's refreshing to see two-footed players who have properly trained their weak foot.
Totally agree. I think it's very, very. You don't agree, Tim?
Mm-mm.
Why?
Go ahead and tell me. Finish your thought.
I'll just speak personally. There was a point in my career where not in my career. I was like 10 years old, and I was playing games, and I would get on my right foot and go to my right to score, or try to score. And at that level, it's not that big of a deal because the defenders don't know what they're doing. They don't have tape on you, etc. But I do vividly remember my coach saying, like, you are going to be infinitely more valuable if you learn to go to your left.
Sure.
And I started going to my left, and then I didn't score as many goals with my left as my right, but it wasn't too far off, I don't think.
Mhm.
And I think that makes you infinitely more valuable.
Yeah.
I do.
Fair point. I the way I see it, and I've always seen it this way, players aren't good enough on their strong foot to be messing about with their weak foot. No, it's true. I would prefer for a young player to master their right foot and be serviceable with their left, as opposed to this sort of like trying to equal balance. I'll give you an example. Thierry Henry, best striker in Premier League history. Thierry Henry is a god. When he used his left foot every now and again, but guess what? It was constantly his right foot. Constantly. David Beckham the same, right? And so I just think you have to have a mastery of your right foot, and yes, of course, be serviceable with your weaker foot, no doubt. I will say this though, Louis Saha, a funny tidbit since we're talking about Manchester United. You'll love this, Landon. We drew or lost at Old Trafford, and Louis Saha was our striker, and he missed. He's left-footed, right? Strong left foot. He snatches at one right foot, misses it. We lose or draw. Get into the dressing room, Sir Alex Ferguson goes crazy. Louis, why have you not taken it with your left foot? Why have you not taken it with your left foot? And I've played with Louis for forever. Calm as you like, so French. My friend, I'm both. I'm both. and I'm like this over there because please don't look at me.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God.
Oh God. Anyway, that was it.
All right. Well, I think it's valuable, personally.
DJ via email asks, a lot of teams have begun announcing where they are setting up their headquarters here in the US for the World Cup. I was hoping the guys could talk about some of their favorite or least favorite places they stayed during their collective World Cups and why.
Great question.
Oh, that's a good question. So in South Korea, we stayed in the heart of like Seoul at a JW Marriott. It was insane. We had a chef with us.
Oh yeah.
That was the first time I had sushi. So, and then they had this like 160,000 square foot gym that was like insane. So we spent so much time in there. So that was cool, but there wasn't a whole lot to do. Like we weren't going to go walk around and do too much around there. Germany, we stayed in Hamburg, which was beautiful, but it was just sort of like a normal.
Hamburg was beautiful.
It was pretty though. Hamburg's a beautiful city.
Yeah.
And then we stayed at a lodge, Irene Lodge in South Africa, which was nothing to do, which was very intentional from Bob, I think.
Yeah, but it was brilliant. So what I remember about, Hamburg is a beautiful city, which was nice. I enjoyed that. Irene, which was like this like nature preserve resort, and you'd get up, and at whatever time it was, there's like a lake, right? Clint would be out with his camel bucket hat on a chair. And he'd be fishing. Like no matter what time he was fishing, right? And then Marcus Hanneman was like, he was constantly
wrestling alligators.
Yeah, constantly talking to our security about like, when are you going to take me hunting? I want to go big, like hunting. So he ended up going hunting at one point. Like it was chaos, but it was brilliant because we were so secluded, and we were all together. Brazil was interesting because
where'd you stay in Brazil? I don't remember.
In Sao Paulo, which was
Sao Paulo.
I didn't enjoy it. Like I don't think anyone enjoyed it. The traffic in Sao Paulo is unbelievable. And we get in. Funny fact, like I think I'm pretty well traveled, and we get in at night. we go into the hotel. In the hotel, we go upstairs. You know how you arrive late, they have a meal for you, Landon. So it's at the top. It's dark, pitch black. So have our meal, go to bed. Next morning, get up, go to the restaurant. Is at the top of this hotel, nice hotel, and it's like 360 views of I don't know 50th floor or whatever of Sao Paulo, and I'm like, gosh, this is a big city, right? And someone's like, yeah, it's like the 4th largest city in the world, and I'm like, oh, anyway, bro, it took
no clue.
it took literally LD, no matter what time, you know, the charters leave at different times, 2 hours from the hotel to the airport. 5-hour flight in and out, back 2 hours back. It
2
was
hours
bro,
to the
Google Sao Paulo traffic, and it was chaos.
Jesus.
Like we had a
So
police
that was to
escort.
go to games. You were taking 2-hour bus to the airport and then
Airport.
flying.
Yeah.
Holy
We-
Jesus.
that World Cup. It's on record. That World Cup, the U.S. team traveled the most miles of any
I
team.
remember. That's right. Yeah, I
Crazy,
remember
bro.
seeing that.
And the problem with Sao Paulo is we have police escorts. There's nowhere to
Right.
go. There's nowhere to
Right.
go. You just can't.
Right. That's right.
Crazy.
Nobody cares.
Anyway, great question.
Should we do a new rule?
Oh, God.
New rules,
New rules.
everybody.
I like it.
New
Okay.
rules.
So this new rule comes from Jason via email. And Jason says that he's always hated on throw-ins when a player takes 10 to 15 extra yards of space, keeps going until the ref decides enough is enough. The player backs up, asks if that's the right spot, then inevitably moves up another 5 yards.
That's so good.
It's a waste of time, it's arbitrary, and it's annoying. Here's what I propose. Outside of the sideline, have hash marks every 10 yards, essentially dividing the field into sections. Whichever 10-yard section the ball went out in, the player can take the throw in from anywhere in between those hashes.
Yeah.
If the
it's
player
fine.
steps at all outside of those hashes, the throw in goes to the other team.
That's fair. I mean, the funny thing is this only comes up like 3 times a year where something happens and someone like goes really fast and runs up and there's a goal and everyone's like, what the hell? You know? But normally it never matters, really. The one that drove me crazy as a player when, let's say I get the ball in our attacking half and I go backwards 5 yards to throw it back to my center back to just start the play. And the ref would go, no, you got to move up 5 yards where the ball. And I said, I'm throwing the ball backwards to start. It's inconsequential. But like sometimes refs are so by the book and you're like, Jesus, get a clue, dude. But I don't hate it.
Did you hear that, Tyler? Tyler? Yeah, Tyler.
I think
Tyler.
I think there's a better way to. I don't hate it either. I don't hate it. It seems inconsequential, as you said, LD. My biggest gripe with the referees is there are certain things in the game where I'm just like, just sort it out now, and it doesn't happen again. I'll give you an example, right? If the guy picks up the ball and he takes like 5 yards, referee, blow your whistle and go, mate, back up. When he throws it in again, say, not your throw, other team's throw. If you do that once or twice, people are gonna be like, all right, I'm not gonna take the piss. I'm just gonna throw the ball in. That's it.
Right.
Like, but yeah, inconsequential.
But I don't hate it,
No, I
to
don't
be
hate it.
honest.
All right. Well, I guess maybe we will consider, Jason, applying your new.
We will consider this rule and implementing it into the World Cup. Jason.
What about kick-ins? I told you about my kick-in story.
I just thought about that too.
Yeah. I played USISL, United States Independent Soccer League, in 1997, senior in high school. They implemented a rule inside 35 yards. It was if you had a throw in, you could kick it in. It's chaos.
They would just bombard you.
It's decent. I actually don't mind it. Yeah.
I love it.
Somebody sent in a rule that I wasn't. I don't. Sometimes the rules are like over. If it's really long, like if it's like a massive paragraph, I'm like, I don't know if I can cut this down. But somebody was suggesting that if you send the ball to the keeper can only return the ball in whatever fashion it was sent to them. So like if you head the ball to the keeper has to head the ball out. And I was like, now people are just trying to come up with ridiculous things to get
They
their
chest it.
question
You gotta
onto the
chest
show.
it out.
Yeah.
Could you
That's so
imagine?
good.
No
Oh,
way.
you're so
No way.
good. I'm all
All
for
right.
it.
That is it for this week. If you would like to send your new rule or question, or if I called you by the wrong name, you can send me an email at feedback@unfilteredsoccer.com.
Thanks,
Thanks,
JR.
guys.
JR. All right, Timmy, another great week, another great show. Great job there, JR. Mr. Bogert, thank you as always for coming on. We will have him on again, giving us the lowdown on MLS and all the happenings ahead of the season. We appreciate all of you for being with us. Please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, and follow us on social media at Unfiltered Soccer for bonus content. Thank you, as always, to our presenting sponsor, VW, our Fan Connection sponsor, AT&T, and our Stoppage Time sponsor, FanDuel.
LD, I know you thanked Tom, but from me, thank you. Just your insight into the league and all things with American football is brilliant. So thank you, Tom, for coming on. Also, thank you to our Unfiltered Refresh sponsor, Coors Light, and our additional sponsor, Airbnb. Have an amazing week. We'll be back next Tuesday with another edition of Unfiltered Soccer.